What's up, guys? This is a test harness for my reasoning engine. The reasoning engine is the engine inside of MetaHunters that gives it life. Um, I have it wrapped in a story generator, which is actually a game. And I'll just show you the game here. We're just gonna launch it here at a zombie hospital, but you can technically type in whatever adventure you want. This is just a preset I'm using for the timing right now, and this is the load up starting time currently. Can't pause it when I'm a free user, so that's okay. We'll just wait for it here live. Hopefully it doesn't fail because I'm doing something else in the background. It seems like it's working. Okay, so it generates the background here. It generates our character down here on the bottom right. I wish there was a zoom function on this recorder, but there's not. Up here is where your inventory is, and also a character memory where you can write notes. Here
A
is
slow, painful awareness seeped back into Survivor. He was lying on a stiff mattress, the fabric of a thin gown scratching against his skin. A dull, pervasive ache radiated from his back and heels, the protest of a body left motionless for far too long. His mouth was a desert, his throat raw and tight with a desperate thirst. A hollow gnawing in his stomach spoke of a hunger that felt ancient. Morning light, weak and grey, filtered through a grimy window, illuminating a room in quiet decay. Dust motes danced in the pale shafts, settling on an overturned steel tray and silent, dark-faced medical monitors. The air was thick with the sterile scent of old antiseptic, overlaid with a damp, earthy smell of rot from beyond the cracked window pane. A thin plastic tube snaked from a stand beside the bed, tethered to the back of his left hand with a piece of tape. The sight of the needle beneath the skin sent a cold spike of primal fear through the fog of his confusion. He remembered the screech of tires, the shattering of glass, and then nothing. An abyss of 4 weeks. Gone. He was alone. The rhythmic beep of a heart monitor was conspicuously absent, replaced by the faint, unsettling rustle of wind through the derelict hospital.
Okay, so that's the intro to this game that it's generated. And now we have a few different things we can do here. There's a crafting area where you can brainstorm internally with your own internal thoughts about things that you might be able to do or not be able to do. There's a dialogue and reflection area. This is where you can talk to NPCs and also where you can talk to yourself within your own head. And then there is a intent area, and this is how you play the game, is through the intent area. And so for this next intent, the first thing I do when I want to wake up, and you'll see that it has a story time. We're starting at 12 o'clock, noon. Up here, oh, that's default, never mind. We're starting at 7:30 a.m. And you'll see that each time the story generates a snippet, it'll update our actual story time. So what I'll type here is I'll say, I'll look around, observe things, and assess why this place seems abandoned.
Survivor lies motionless, his breath a shallow vapor in the cool air. The weakness in his limbs is profound, a leaden weight that makes even the thought of sitting up feel like a monumental task. Where is everyone? The silence of the hospital is a heavy shroud, pressing in on him. His gaze keeps returning to the IV line in his hand, a violation that his instinct screamed to remove. He needs to understand, to move, to find a single drop of water, but his body feels like a cage. A ghost of a memory surfaced, unbidden, the hiss of a coffee machine in a brightly lit kitchen. The simple, stupid luxury of it felt like a fantasy from another lifetime, a story told about someone else. Survivor blinked the image away, the cold reality pressing in with the weight of a physical blow.
Okay, and at this point, the system is self-correcting when it comes to these timings because it's doing some magic in the background to make sure
the effort to simply turn his head feels immense, a testament to the profound atrophy that has claimed his muscles. Survivor's eyes, gritty and slow to focus, begin a painstaking survey of his sterile prison.
See how
the room is a study in neglect. A lone, flickering fluorescent panel overhead casts the scene in a sickly, stuttering light, making shadows twitch in the corners. His gaze drifts from the metal frame of his own hospital bed to the silent, wheeled IV stand beside it, its empty bag hanging like a shriveled lung. The plastic tube still taped to his hand is a constant, irritating presence. His eyes land on the rolling bedside table, pushed just out of immediate reach. A thin film of dust coats everything on its surface, a cheap plastic cup, a clipboard with papers askew, and a sight that makes his dry throat convulse, a small, sealed plastic bottle of water. Hope, sharp and desperate, lances through him. Beyond the table, a simple visitor's chair sits vacant, its vinyl upholstery cracked. Across the room, a heavy-looking wardrobe closet stands, with one door slightly ajar, revealing only darkness within. The walls are bare, the floor littered with dust bunnies and a few scattered, unimportant-looking papers. A large sealed window offers no view but a uniform, overcast grey. Finally, his eyes settle on the heavy exit door, solid and impassive. The silence of the room, punctuated only by the electric hum and crackle of the failing light, confirms his deepest fear. He is utterly alone. The simple act of observation leaves him feeling colder, a shallow exhaustion seeping into his bones.
Okay, so after we typed in our intent of, well, we're going to look around and assess where we are and what's around us, it generated that snippet with that intent in mind, but like Dungeons and Dragons, it's creating a dice in the background and it's weighting the dice based on the current context. So we just woke up in a hospital bed. The probability of us looking around to assess our actions are almost 100, and so it allowed it and wrote a story snippet for it, and it ticked off 75 seconds. So that means for 1 minute and 15 seconds we kind of looked around the room, and the entire story snippet happened in 1 minute and 15 seconds. And this game time is really important for the rest of the game. Now if we go over to observed objects, there's no observed objects here. Okay, so I just did an update before I made this video, and observed objects is supposed to have all of the stuff in here that the player has observed in his vision. And you can click on them and you can take them and add them to your inventory. You can mix and match them together. You can, cut a pillowcase open with a scalpel and make a bag to hold different items that you want to take. And it all gets added to your character here. This video is going on 10 minutes since my cap. I'm at 9 minutes and 30 seconds. But yeah, you play through the game using intent of what you want your character to do next in the situation. And so I would, in this case, I would say I'll grab the water bottle and drink. And I'll use the IV stand as a rolling walking cane. And I'll go look into the hallway. Alright, so I'll grab the water bottle and I'll drink. I'll use the IV stand, I don't know why I put an E there, as a rolling walking cane, and I'll go look into the hallway. Mind you, we just got up after 4 weeks.
A persistent chill seeped from the concrete floor, creeping up the metal legs of the bed frame. It was a cold that felt deeper than the air, a cold that spoke of abandonment. A sudden, involuntary shiver racks Survivor's frame, a stark reminder of the body's dwindling reserves. The cold seems to seep directly
we just
into
come
the
out
bone,
of a 4-week coma,
a deep
so we're
and
extremely
persistent
weak.
chill that no amount of movement can fully dispel. For a moment, the overwhelming urge to simply lie down and let the world fade away is almost too strong to resist.
And now we're stuck waiting for the generation to finish because it appears that it's failed numerous times. The API fails straight from Google servers, and every time it fails, I just simply have it retry in the background. But it does add latency, and it adds this time gap. But during this time gap, you'll be managing your inventory, you'll be managing your character memory over here. You'll be managing your health, your stamina, your thirst, your hunger, your confusion, etc. And you'll be managing what you want to do next.
A primal command, a desperate surge of will, travels from Survivor's mind to his limbs. He needs to get to that table. He needs that water. He focuses on the small sealed bottle, a beacon in the dusty gloom. His muscles, however, have a different story to tell. He pushes with his elbows, trying to lever his torso up, but a profound cellular deep weakness arrests the motion almost before it begins. His arms tremble violently, not with cold, but with sheer incapacity. The sinews feel like frayed ropes, refusing to take the strain. A pathetic, breathless grunt escapes his lips as his body slumps back against the thin mattress, the effort leaving him dizzy and seeing flashing spots behind his eyes. The world swims for a moment, the flickering light overhead blurring into a nauseating smear. The failure is absolute, a stark confirmation of his utter helplessness. As the momentary dizziness subsides, it's replaced by a more visceral agony. A sharp, cramping pain seizes his stomach, a hollow ache that echoes the gnawing emptiness inside. It's a raw, physical demand for sustenance that his body can no longer ignore. Simultaneously, the thirst intensifies, transforming from a simple dryness into a rasping fire that scours his throat and tongue. Every swallow is like dragging sandpaper down his esophagus. He is a prisoner, not just of the room, but of his own failing body. 60 seconds.
Alright, so 60 seconds of time has passed since we made the decision to drink the water, but we failed to drink the water, and I'm guessing that's because we failed a dice roll in the background that probably gave it something like 30% chance of being able to drink the water, which is realistic because coming out of a 4-week coma, just waking up within the first we started at 7:30. Within the first 2 minutes and 15 seconds would actually be very hard to move. So now what you would do is you would say, I'll have to lay here and rest until I can get enough strength to get that water. We started this game on like hard mode because you started in such a bad condition. Normally you would start with an actual character who could walk and was able to do things. But anyways, as you pick this stuff up, it actually goes into your inventory. You actually play this like a game. It actually keeps track of your location and everything, but it tells it to you in the form of a story. Peace out.